Hey, what's happening out there? Peace in, and good evening. Welcome to another edition of On the Cutting Room Floor. I'm your host, Tony Ray Harvey, and you know where I'm podcasting, broadcasting from, Greenhaven Pocket area. Let's get right down into it because I know we haven't spoken in quite some time. So Donovan Mitchell, he loaded up with 33 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, and Evan Mobley had 29 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists to keep the Sacramento Kings at bay with the 123-118 victory at Rocket Arena on Friday night. So the Kings fall to 12-34 on the season, 3-18 on the road. This is the first game of their 6-game road trip. As you know, they had won 4 straight. And then they lost the last 3 games at home during that 7-game home game stretch at Golden One Center. So now they're on the road in the frigid temperatures of the Midwest, and them being in Cleveland. So that means they're about to head around Lake Erie up north to Detroit, which is probably only like a couple hours away if I'm not mistaken. With my familiarity with that area. But, they're on their way to Detroit. So, yeah. It was a pretty good game if you were able to watch it. Domantas Sabonis, he had 24 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1 steal in 31 minutes off the bench for the Kings. As I said before, they are now 12-34 on the season, 3-18 on the road, and they are currently on a 4-game losing streak. But it was definitely a good game tonight, and we'll get to the reasons why, because it seemed like there was a little grifting by the starting 5. Dennis Schröder, he came off the bench. He had 21 points in the reserve row, while DeMar DeRozan finished with 20 points, and Malik Monk had 16 points and 7 assists for the Kings off the bench. So this is really a game that started off real funky because the Kings fell down. They fell back 16-2 to open the first 12 minutes, 16-2. Then all of a sudden, Christie, he calls a timeout, and he swap out all the starters. And those starters happened to have been Russell Westbrook, Zach LaVine, Precious Achiuwa, Maxime Renaud, and DeRozan. Come on out. You're grifting. Okay? That was the starting 5 that fell behind 16-2. So they were replaced with Sabonis, Malik Monk, Dennis Schröder, Nick Clifford, and Dylan Cardwell. And they did their thing. They went on the 24-8 run to take the lead 34-33 on a free throw by Sabonis. That was in the first quarter. Okay, the game was tied 35-all after the first 12 minutes. So that pretty much that told me that Doug tolerance should be at 0, but tonight it was at 0. I'm not having it. 16-2. I gave y'all enough rope, to do what y'all do. I'm not saying y'all con men or anything like that, but I need another group in there that can do something. And he did mention that after the game about, how he wanted them to perform. Okay. And he was talking about that second unit. They played the way I anticipated and require in a Sacramento Kings uniform. That's somewhat what he said after the game. That's head coach Christie. Another reason why I like that coming from Christie, because he had talked about, his coaching experience, because he hadn't had a good full season doing that between being an interim coach, part of last season, and currently into his first season as a head coach, of how he's approaching things. And this right here told me he's coaching. Because if you're going to swap all 5 of them out after 16-2 run, that's it. You're sending a message to these teams. I'm not tolerating this anymore. Okay? I'm not tolerating these bad starts anymore. Because when that second unit came in, of course, what they got Dylan Cardwell in the middle. Of course, they're going to makes a lot of defensive a lot of defensive effort. And that's exactly what happened. And the good thing about that, because Dillon is out there with Sabonis, only about for a few moments before, Doug switched it up and stuff. That got Sabonis going. And he's a starting five, part of the starting five anyway, and I expect him to start on the next game. I really do. I think there's enough room for him to go forward. He didn't play in that back-to-back game. That's all that was about. I know it was a lot of talk around here about why he didn't play in that game, but, he's coming off that meniscus injury, and like most teams do, they not going to let you play a back-to-back in any shape, form, or fashion. It's not going to happen. So Domas had to take that break. He played 31 minutes tonight. And he, as I mentioned before, he did exceptionally well coming in, playing in that second unit. So I like that too. That's pretty much how it's going to be. Also thinking, the way these things going, because Domas did not play in those first three games that he did play at Golden One Center while we were at home. He didn't play the last game. The same way might be for Keegan Murray when he comes back. Okay, you have to start off on the bench before you can warm yourself up and move yourself back in the starting line. But that's ways away because Keegan has been out for, since January the 5th? Yeah, he's been out for January the 5th, and he's going to be out probably about another week or two, I would expect. Or maybe, I don't know. He may come back before All-Star, or he may not come back for the All-Star break. The Kings won't be back home until the next game is here February the 4th. So, yeah, it was a really good game. The Kings, they led at 71. They led 71-68 at halftime. They had that advantage. They made 25 of 46 shots from the field, at 54.3%. And they made 9 of 16 shots at 60% beyond the arc. The starters only produced 24 points in that first half. Okay. Sabonis did have 14.6 rebounds and 5 assists, and Schröder had 14 points as reserve in that first half of action. As we know, Mobley, he had 17 points, and Donovan Mitchell, scored 18 points in that first half for the Cavaliers. All right, so going into the third quarter, the team was tied at 82. Cavaliers mount on a 18-7 run, topped by DeAndre Hunter basket late in the third quarter, and they led 100-89. Cleveland outscored the Kings 34-22 in the third quarter, but they still had problems staying in that driver's seat. Why? Because the Kings came back. They came back on a furious, I wouldn't say a furious run, but they administrated a 21-9 run to regain the lead on the basket by Cardwell with 4 minutes remaining in the competition. But from there, Mitchell hit a 7-foot jumper. He followed that up with a 3-pointer, and they were up by 4 points. The Cavaliers were up by 4 points. All right. Then later on, to keep that momentum going, who was that? Jarrett Allen. He made 2 free throws, and Tyson added a 3-pointer, and that was pretty much that 3-pointer was pretty much sealed the deal. So the Kings starters, they finished with 45 points on the night, and their colleagues on the bench had 73. He had 73. Okay, so that's the tale of that game for this first game of the 6-game road trip. They are on their way to play the Detroit Pistons, who are number 1 in the Eastern Conference. Now, the Detroit Pistons have already beat the Kings thus far at Golden One Center. So hopefully the Kings, they got a day rest. They can get it together, on the other side of Lake Erie, and they can pull us off to get their first win on this road trip. It won't be easy, but the reason why I say that, because they do have a chance with Domantas Sabonis. Should he play? And I hope that he does play. I really do hope that he does play. So, that's pretty much how it's been going on around here. I know there's been a lot of hype around Dylan Cardwell and what he's been doing, but there's been a lot of hype around, these rookies as a whole. And I would say Maxime Renaud, Nick is coming along. Still a little bit of that inconsistency, but I can feel it. I can feel this young man coming along. He, there was one point in the game tonight. I think it was DeAndre Hunter who was trying to post up Neek. I think some people don't realize how strong. I mean, he's about 6'6", 200 pounds forward. Neek Clifford is a little, his strength is deceiving. That's what I'm saying. Because DeAndre Hunter couldn't get around him. Neek ended up fouling him. I forget, that was should have been in the first half. But he couldn't get around this young man. Okay? This young man is strong. His strength is deceiving. At least in my eyes, what I'm seeing. Okay? You're not just, I mean, people used to, at first, I remember De'Aaron Fox used to have those problems when stronger opponents used to post him up. And it was winning the battle. And then that next season, he beefed up a little bit, just a little bit. He ended all of that. But I'm seeing this kind of early. Of course, De'Aaron Fox, he was about 19 years old when he came to Sacramento out of Kentucky because he left after his freshman year. Of course, Nick then played all 5 seasons between University of Colorado and Colorado State University. But what I'm saying is these opposing team players, I don't want to hear all that mess. This man ain't going to just let y'all walk over and stuff. And when he figure out how to handle these things so he won't get in so much foul trouble, it's on. It is on. It is on. So I'm seeing these rookies coming along. They really are. Dylan, as we already know, I don't know what it is. Dylan Cardwell was signed the day after the draft. The day after the draft. And he was signed as a two-way player. It wasn't we inviting you to camp. We just want to get a look at you and then okay, if we see something there, we can move in that direction. No. I don't know what all this. Obviously, Scott Perry knew what was going on with this young man when he was down there, and he knew what he needed in this young man as well, okay? He wasn't looking for any high volume of points. He wasn't looking for anything like that, okay? Or maybe passing. And Dylan is a great passer. He really is for a big man, all right? He was just looking for that guy to play that same role at the NBA level. Dylan Cardwell was signed the day after the draft. I think the draft was June 25th, 2025, last summer, okay? June 26th, this man was signed to a two-way contract. There wasn't no gamble or, whatever, I owe a favor to an agent, at least not in my eyes, not what I'm seeing. All I'm saying, there was an opportunity. This man was not drafted. There was an opportunity because, of course, the Kings didn't have any late round drafts, picks in the second round anyway. They got Maxime early in the second round and stuff. We're going to sign it. And that's exactly what happened to it. There wasn't no one waiting around to see what we got. Now, yes, now you see that this thing is transitioning over into the pro level, but he's doing it at a higher level. Okay. He protects the rim. He get offensive rebounds, something that is really key because that gives you more possessions. On top of his rebounding. Okay. All right. He played some damn well good defense. And the screens that he set. This is something Doug's been talking about all season about those screens are beautiful that he set for his players, at least to get them, break them loose, get them free, or to make sure they can get their shot off from the perimeter. Dylan Cardwell. And, of course, there's other things that I could really say about the young man, his faith in God, okay? I know I have faith in God as well. He always pay his dues before he start any interviews. I like that too, all right? Not to bring religion into it, but it is part of it because he said it. I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for my higher power. But he's here. He's a pro player, and he has proven that in his last few games. And I think it's only going to get better from that. He's going to be a well-serviceable, valuable center in this league coming off that bench as a rotational player. Dylan Cardwell. Just want to say that as well. Before I go into some other things, there was something else that I did want to talk about. Yes. KTK 1140. For the last couple weeks, they have a new personality on the show, and it is a woman, female. Her name is Kayla Anderson. She had been doing some fill-ins for the past few months here and there. The opportunity kind of increased after my guy Kyle Draper left because he wanted to concentrate a little bit more on his broadcasting duties for NBC Sports Bay Area, which is cool because I love him and Kevin Gleason and Jay Johnson on that Drive Guys show. Now, Kayla is not on the Drive Guys with Kevin Gleason because the majority of the time that's who she was appearing with, going on the air with. She has teamed up now. She's going to be on. She has a 10 to 2 slot with the radio station. It is permanent. I was listening to them talk to Mark Spears, the famous, legendary Mark Spears in this world of journalism. And he had mentioned something that I had already been talking about too, and I am talking about women in this space. Because Mark said there's not rarely any women out in the Bay Area, that's on the airwaves, at least the radio airwaves. All right. That was the same here. So hopefully Kayla is kind of breaking the ice in that area, and she sounds really good, really knowledgeable. She understands, sports as whole. I definitely wouldn't say, she's one-dimensional at all. She's from the Northwest, I think the Seattle area, if I'm not mistaken. But her last gig was in Nashville, Tennessee. She was doing some work outside of the NFL Titans. But now she's here in Sacramento, and now she's on the air. And she sounds great. Like I said, she sounds really knowledgeable of what she does, and she's being well received in the Sacramento area right now. And it's only going to get better for her. So I'm glad she's taking that step because we all know that this is a male-dominant situation. All right? And I would like myself to see more of this, for some other station. All right? One thing I can say, and I do respect, it's not even have to do with sports. I love to hear from a woman perspective. All right? Even from the I don't even like to use the word even. No matter if it's coming from politics, okay, city government, social justice, of course, sports and entertainment. I like to hear from a woman's perspective, okay? Whether that be from the objective side or the subjective side, okay? But on the objective side, that it really opened up a lot of doors. You know what I mean? None of that third person language that be going on there. But obviously she's a broadcast journalist, so she's really good at what she's doing. Definitely want to welcome. I have not personally met her in person, but hopefully, somewhere down the road. And I really do like to see, when so I've been getting into these like little wars with some of them at some point, and I mean, no disrespect to them and stuff like that. I just have to calm down as a man and approach things a little bit differently. But when I do see them out there and they're trying to perform the way they want to perform, I have nothing but respect for that. Because as I was telling you, right when the preseason had ended and Russell Westbrook was signed by the Kings, of course, he was down in L.A. for their first game, the last game in that preseason game when they played the Lakers. And then he comes here, he meets the local media for the first time. So we're in the practice facility, the Kings practice facility, waiting on him to come out. That's when he comes out. We see number 18 for the first time. That's the number that he's wearing on his uniform this season. So, usually, there's a few people, that like to, jump out and ask a question first. Okay. No problem with that. All right. But this particular one, it was a little bit reserved because it's Russell Westbrook. Almost to a point where, I don't know, I would say that, they was kind of scared to death of this man. They didn't know what to say he was going to say. But He was a professional. Michelle Dapper, KCRA3, Vanessa Romo, Fox 40, local sports reporters around here. They were the first one to open up questioning. I like to see more of that, okay? Because Michelle, she's been doing this around this area for almost 15 years. Extremely talented, extremely professional at what she does. Really good person. Vanessa, she just came around here maybe a couple years ago, a couple seasons ago. All right, and she does everything too, across the board. She's not one-dimensional, I would have to say. But I got a lot of respect for them, for jumping on that. And then there's another thing too. Of course, really, this person I don't really see eye to eye, but I'm watching what these women do down there. Katie Christensen, when she goes to those pressers, those pregame press conferences, she's going to ask questions. Okay, cool. So did everybody else in the Sacramento Kings media room practically ask questions. But Katie, in her profession, and I guess I'm sure she does this on the road, when she goes to the opposing team coach's pregame media availability, she does the same thing. She asks questions. Okay? Because she's preparing herself for her broadcast. Now, she worked alongside Kyle Draper, my man, what's up? And at times, Mark Jones, my man, what's up? What's up? Okay? And the reason why I say that, because there's all this, this grifting on the Sacramento Kings stuff. And of course, I'm going to talk about it. And I'm just break it down. We're sitting in there talking to Doug Christie. All right, a lot of those guys don't come over there. All right, now I'm not talking about, because Chris Biederman from Sacramento Bee, he does come over there. All right, and I know why. Okay, because he's trying to get something to strengthen his story. Of course, he's going to get something from the King side. He's trying to get something to strengthen as well as Katie. I know this, as well as Kyle Draper. All right, as well as Mark Jones when they come over there. You want something to strengthen your story. You're going to get a different angle on it, a different narrative on it. And that's exactly what you do. That's reporting. Mm-hmm. That's reporting. Now, of course, I go to both sides. And sometimes I don't always ask questions or I don't always report on this. But if something catches my eye, my ear, of course, you got to bring that out. That, the opposing team coach might say. We're always going to catch it, with Doug Christie. Whatever bites that, he send out. Don't think these women don't know what they're doing. Okay, I don't try to get all in their way. They do what they want to do. They ask questions, but I respect that. But I'm paying attention because another thing is they don't ask the same questions over and over and over and over and over again. That's reporting. That's reporting. So, welcome, Kayla Anderson. I don't know if you're looking at one of my 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 listeners tonight. I hope you are at some time, but I have been paying a little bit of attention these couple of weeks. I've been in and out of there. I haven't been listening to that 10 to session that well, but it seemed like it's working out for them well. Alan Style, he now done joined up with Kevin Gleason. It seemed like that's working out as well. Cool. That's where we are. There's going to be some changes. Always going to be some changes. But please understand, when I'm talking about drifting over there to get some information about from the opposing team, it all has to do with the Sacramento Kings. I do have to be honest with you on that point. All right. It's all related to the Sacramento Kings. Sometimes, I go into some other areas because I was able to do some other things. I'll talk about that later. But most of the time, that's what I'm trying to do. Size it up, align it with what's going on with the Sacramento Kings. And just want to hear from these guys from out of town because some of these teams, they only come through Sacramento once, unless they're an Eastern Conference team. Unless they're a Western Conference team. The Eastern Conference, usually those teams only come on the West side one time a year. Western Conference team, I'll at least see them at least 2, maybe 3 times a year, a season and stuff. So that's what that's all about. And these women are a part of it. I want to, once again, welcome Kayla Anderson to the Sacramento region and congratulations. And I want to thank you for stopping in for another episode of On the Cutting Room Floor. I'm your host, Tony Ray Harvey. You know how I do it. Okay, whatever you want to call it. Podcast, broadcast, that's what we do. I should be here for the next game that's on the road, and that's the Detroit Pistons. Let's see what happens there. But peace and blessing to you. I'm out.